Welcome back to the Thought Leading Recruitment podcast. I'm Sam Bylett, and today I'm joined by Chris Mapp, co-owner of Mixos. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you here, Chris. Should we start off by sharing a bit more about Mixos and what led you into the recruitment industry?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's one of them ones when you speak to most people, no one sets out to think, I'm going to have a career within recruitment. You kind of fall into it, right? Initially, I've always competed in a really high level of sports. Previously, I used to be a professional BMX racer up until 2014. Yeah, about 2012, 2014. And actually had an accident whilst racing, and I always say it was like the crossroad of my life and my career because God knows where I would have been if that didn't happen. So once I had this accident, I couldn't carry on anymore, and then someone recommended, have you ever thought about recruitment? So as you do, kind of get your first job as a trainee. Started for a large corporate in London. Joined the company when they had a larger presence around the UK. They were the second largest staffing company in the UK and the fifth biggest in the world. But they just had a kind of launch in a new office in London. I think I was the fourth or fifth staff member that joined. And we had rapid growth. We grew from 5 to 20 in like 2 or 3 years. And obviously with growth comes opportunity. And I grabbed them opportunities with both hands, kind of worked my way up the corporate ladder for around 4.5, 5 years with the company. I think it was maybe 5.5 total before starting. Originally, we used to be called Somnium. Those looked Somnium 6.5 years ago. And 2 years ago, we had a name change to Mixos, and Gemma Downing, who is now my wife, joined the business 4 years ago. And yeah, the last 4 years it's gone really quick, but we've had such aggressive growth. So we've gone from a team of 2 to 15. We've kind of doubled on growth year on year for the last 4 years. And the start of this year has been pretty hectic. We were just talking about it off air, but in March, we was the winner of Milton Keynes Business Achievement Awards, small to medium business 2024-25. Awards have been going for 12 years now. It's quite a reputable award within the Milton Keynes and Buckinghamshire area. I think we're the first recruitment company to ever win that. So that was pretty cool. And then, just got back from getting married to Gemma. Gemma and I got married in Las Vegas. And then I think we were speaking, you said, wasn't it? We was on our honeymoon in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
So it's been a pretty hectic start to the year, but no, lots of good things going on. But Mixos, essentially, we changed name last May. Somnium was a bit of a mouthful and just didn't feel like it represented Gemma and I since we joined forces. So Mixos is, it's all about getting the right mix of people. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you've had a very busy start to the year. Congratulations on the award. Do you still jump on the BMX every now and then?
Do you know what? For the last 4 or 5 years, I've supported a group of athletes, kind of mentorship and sponsorship. And my children also raced a little bit. At the end of last season, they decided my son broke his humerus, and I think that shook him up a little bit. So at the end of last season, they decided to kind of step back. So they've gone back into their football roots. So I'm still involved. I still go to some races and stuff, but not as much as I used to. And I certainly stay off the bike because if you saw me ride one now, I'm too old and I need some stabilizers.
Yeah, good stuff. So, what types of businesses do you primarily work with?
Yeah, so I always say we're more of a geographical recruiter, and you'd probably call it a generalist, but Milton Keynes, Luton and Bedford, there are 3 locations. We're very well known within them locations, and we work with micro businesses, SMEs and large corporates across 2 main key focuses. So it's head office commercial on the permanent side of things, which is, your white collar jobs. And then you've got our recently launched, 18 months ago, we launched an industrial warehouse desk on the temp side. Now, primarily it was always head office commercial perm, but because of where we're based, so we are in Eversholt, which is 20 minutes to Milton Keynes, 20 minutes to Bedford and 20 minutes to Luton. I don't know if you've been down this way, but kind of junction 9, the M1 to 50. It's become like a warehouse logistics hub. And as we were growing and scaling the business, Gemma and I, we're really conscious that as we scale, we don't want to dilute who we are and our services. So it was just getting busier and busier and busier. And we was like, kind of makes sense. It's on our doorstep. So we hired someone within that space, and yeah, we've never looked back since.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do know that area quite well actually. I used to work up there myself before I used to do this. So yeah, I do know it quite well. I read that Mixos offers is it a 7 hours to hire process? How has that rapid hiring model impacted your clients?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest disjoints I feel in the recruitment process is time management and management of expectations. You know, that piece where you send a CV, the client's off, they come back a day later, say, oh, I can't do that time for an interview, but I can do that time. You then go back to candidate, they don't come back to you for a day. Before you know it, you're 3, 4 days down the line, that candidate ends up leaving or getting another job or an offer elsewhere. And it just becomes really disjointed. And especially if you're working on a contingent basis, the key thing is, working really closely with clients that respect a talent partner, that actually you've got really clear timeframes and set out points as agreed actions between you and the client. And then essentially the 7 hour hiring process for us, we've actually got a 99% exclusive fulfillment rate within that 7 hour hiring process. And it's an average of 8 to 10 working days. So, and we've got all the stats and data that back that up. But then also on the flip side, the people that don't stick to it, then it doesn't work as well. I think it's about, especially in the space that we're in, it's about building them relationships with human beings, whether that, the line managers or the CEOs, whoever that might be, building them relationships and actually working in partnership, that we are the recruitment specialists. We're in the market all day, every day, kind of, and working closely with our clients to make sure that we're making it as, seamless and as stress-free as possible, because everyone needs the best talent. Your business is only as good as the people that are in it. But actually, not everyone has the best talent acquisition strategy, the talent, to get the best people into the business. So it's about working and partnering with the right people. And don't get me wrong, when we partner with new clients, they don't always want to work that way. And you have to kind of bend and tailor your approach. But once you've gained that trust, and they're kind of, I'm sure, Sam, you speak to a lot of people that still have a bad opinion on the recruitment industry and don't have a good word to say about it. But actually, if you do it properly, it's one of the most rewarding industries that you can work in. Yeah, the 7 hour hiring process for us is about taking all the pain and stress away from the client and all the onus being on us in terms of just delivering the best people for them.
Yeah, that's super impressive. And are there any kind of emerging trends in the recruitment market you've been noticing recently?
Well, I think post-COVID has flipped everything on its head. Everyone's needs and everyone's wants are completely different. So in terms of emerging trends, I would say obviously AI has entered our space from on the recruitment side. From a candidate side, I would say that degree of flexibility is absolutely, everybody's situation is different. So there's always new things popping up from day to day. But I would say that, depending on the business or depending on the candidate's needs, there's always ever evolving trends or things that are happening that we need to keep up to date with. I can't think of any that I can pinpoint off the top of my head, but I know that you will probably talk about flexible working at some point in this conversation, and that's definitely one that seems to pop up quite a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, AI is obviously the one that sticks out the most.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah, it's an interesting topic to see how far that goes in recruitment.
definitely.
With the job market being obviously so highly competitive, how do you assist your candidates in standing out?
Good question. I think it's not a one size fits all when it comes to candidates. I think standing out, what's your idea of standing out and what's my idea of standing out could be two completely different things. So I think treating every candidate as an individual and really understanding what their outcome is and what they desire before you kind of tailor your approach to their job search. I'm a firm believer, if you really want something, you can get it, right? So you can be sat here today as, an unqualified, just come out of school, but you want to become an accountant. I think if you kind of put that end goal and then map backwards to it, I do believe that you can achieve that. So I think every candidate you have to take with where they're at and where they want to get to, and then tailor that approach and how they're going to stand out. But in terms of the basics, I would say, the one question I always start with is, okay, so what have you done so far? What have you done with your job search? How has that worked for you? And then you can point them in the right direction, whether it's a certain job board that they're not using, what's their LinkedIn profile look like. I always take my daughter as an example. When she was looking for a job, she's 20. I say, how are you getting on? I'm very supportive, but also I don't spoon feed her. I feel like, I will support her, but actually she needs to be proactive herself. So when she was looking for a job, I was like, oh, how are you getting on? She said, oh yeah, really well. I've applied for loads of jobs. I say, okay, brilliant. How many jobs is loads of jobs? And she's like, 7. I was like, Shannon, that is not lots of jobs, darling. In today's market, that is not loads of jobs to apply for. So it's about kind of peeling back the layers, understanding where they're at, and then kind of giving them information. And then, it's down to them to go and do the work. So, we help and assist them as much as we can, but actually the onus is still on them in order to put the work in to get them to where they want to be. But, from brushing up their jobs, where they're posting their CV to kind of get attraction, what jobs they're applying for, are they keeping notes of what jobs they've applied for, and are they following up and being proactive? I say finding a job is a job in itself. You have to be proactive. You have to be on it. You have to follow up. You have to treat it like a job. So depending on who they are, where they are, we will tailor that. But essentially, I feel like every candidate's unique and got their own skill set. So it's about understanding that before giving them the advice, because it's so easy just to roll off generic advice, but actually it's not always the right advice for every single person. It's not a one size fits all.
Yeah, for sure. Do you believe there's a talent shortage at the moment, or are businesses searching the wrong places?
Well, this is a controversial one, isn't it? I wouldn't say there's a talent. Yes, I'd say yes and no. I feel like I'm going to myself a little bit here. I think the biggest thing would be businesses struggling to find the right talent. And that could be a number of reasons, from their their talent attraction strategy. Gone are the days where you can just post a job out on your Indeeds and whatever else and get 150 applicants and 10, 15 of them be good. It's a different world. It's a different market that we're in now. So, what's that brand's reputation like? What recruitment channels are they using? How proactive are they with their brand and their recruitment strategy? Is it the last thing on the list that comes up just when they've got a hole that needs filling or a seat that needs a bum on it? So there's that element. And then obviously retaining the best talent as well, when you're talking about internal culture, management structures, salaries, flexibility of working. So there's so many intertwining subjects here that play into that. I think the good companies that are doing well are the ones that are investing in all of these areas. But it's definitely, I speak to business owners on a day-to-day basis. The number one struggle is people. If you don't get the right people into your business, it's always going to be, rowing against the tide.
Yeah, for sure. And we touched on it kind of briefly earlier about flexibility. But the debate kind of carries on. What's your take on the work from home versus in office debate? It's a tough one, isn't it?
You know what? I am sick to death of seeing people post about it on LinkedIn. So boring. It's like, I feel like the British culture is just a moan. If you were to say work from the office every day, someone would have a problem with it. If you say work from home every day, someone would have a problem with it. For me, it's horses for courses. If it fits your business model and you are, transparent from the offset, this is what it works, what are we all moaning about? And if you want full flexibility and somewhere doesn't offer it, that's not the role for you. If you don't want, if the other way around, it's not the right role for you. So for me, it's just like, get on with it. It's so boring now seeing this same old crap going around the internet. Work from home, not work from home. Do what suits your business as a business leader and as a business owner, or do what suits your lifestyle as a candidate going for a job. Do I think we should be in the office all day, every day? No. Do I think we should work from home all day, every day? No. Make it work for what works for you. And we've changed. I traditionally come from a recruitment agency that was in the office all day, every day. So I would get up and get on the train for an hour and a half into London for an 8 o'clock start and finish at 5:30, 6, and then get on the train back out of London, 5 days a week. So traditionally, being one of my first jobs in the corporate world, I thought that was the norm. So when I started Mixos, that's what we did. Everyone was in the office all day, every day. And actually you could see our people were starting to get burnt out. They wanted a degree of flexibility. If the washing machine was broken, someone had to come around and fix it, or certain parcel was being delivered or whatever. And then I think COVID just was the game changer. It just reversed everything. Common with the excuses of the old antiquated leaders that said, well, you can't work from home, you don't have the facilities, because all the facilities and all the technology was there on at the end of your fingers. So for us, we do 4 days office, 1 day home. All of our people that work within Mixos are within 20 minutes of the office, and we just try and have a degree of flexibility. We try and create an adult working environment. If one of the girls need to leave early for a doctor's appointment, we don't make them take half a day. As long as we know in advance, we just make it work around their lifestyle. So, I feel like this work from home and office stuff, I just look at it and it's just boring. Just get on with it. Do what works for you. If you've got an opinion on it, absolutely that's fine. But your opinion is not valid to someone else's life because you're not in their shoes. So yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a controversial take for you, Sam. Stop
yeah,
posting work from home or in the office debate anymore. It's bullshit. Do what works for you as a candidate and do what works for you as a company. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to work at
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that point of view. I think it's, like you said, I think the key is for businesses now to have that flexibility.
100%.
And yeah, it works for some businesses, it works for others, it works for some candidates, it works, like you said, it's horses for courses. I think having that flexibility is just, it's just needed now, isn't it? So
If it
yeah,
doesn't align with your goals and your plans and your career, then don't apply for the job. I think the key thing around the subject is transparency from the offset. Don't take a candidate through 3 rounds of interviews saying it's fully remote and then say, oh, no, actually, I want you in the office for 2 days, and vice versa. It's just about laying your stall out from the offset. Everyone knows where they stand, and then people can make the decisions. And if they're right, great. And if they're not, if it don't suit them, then that's also fine.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's bury that debate now.
Try not to get caught up in it too much. You can tell because
Yeah,
it's always me.
yeah, I know. So with obviously rapid kind of technology advancements, are businesses adapting quickly enough, do you think, to build teams with these modern skill sets?
Yeah, it's an interesting subject. We've done some digitalization here and dabble in AI, and we're not ready. It's such a crowded market at the moment. I feel like AI is being kind of shoved into everyone's face. I think it's a real change management piece as well. To enhance us. I use AI. I wouldn't say to any high level. It's just things that can help me speed up, whether it's writing sales notes or voice noting into my phone and then it translates it, so I can just put it on the system and just helps me organize and speed efficiencies and stuff like that. But I think it's a real difficult question. I feel like there's so many tools and technologies being around in the market at the moment, and quite a lot of them are expensive as well. And I just feel like probably it can become quite overwhelming for business leaders to have the time to trial everyone, get all the prices, know which one's going to work and fit the business, and then also the technologies and AI efficiencies. Yes, they're great, but they still need a human to integrate them and make them work and get people used efficiently to get the right outcome. I think long and short, the answer I'd say is no. I don't think that I think the technology is probably way more advanced than the people leaning into it. But I do think that we're slowly catching up, and I think over a period of time that will even itself out. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? AI is in recruitment, like you said, that human element has to always be there. And I think it's an interest to see how far it's going to go. I was actually on a call the other day with a guy who has a complete AI recruitment agency with AI avatars that do the interviewing. Yeah, really interesting. I actually did a demo and got interviewed by the avatar. It was impressive. Yeah, I have to.
yeah, I think it's definitely. I do feel like the people that are leaning out will get left behind long term. The days of traditional agency putting someone in and seeing how it goes is long gone. There's so many advancements and technologies out there. Again, I would say similar to the work from home and office debate is like try and take an aerial view of where your business is right now and where you want to get it to, and then look at slowly airdropping in the bits that are going to help you. I mean, I am a leader that gets excited quite quickly about things, and I've probably looked at 8 to 10 AI products, and actually Gemma's the opposite. She's quite analytical and process. And she's like, well, we've already got two that we're still not up to speed. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right here. So I could see why it can become quite overwhelming, because you could take on all of this AI thinking it's great and all these technologies thinking it's great. But if you're not implementing them correctly and getting your people on board using them properly, it kind of, why are you spending the money in the first place?
Yeah.
I do think there's definitely a piece there that from the human element to get us up to speed in that change management. It's definitely a piece there that's maybe missing to connect us closer to that tech and AI.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, where can our audience find out a bit more about Mixos and connect with yourself?
So I am on LinkedIn. So Christopher Mapp, very formal. I don't know why I've got my full name, but it's always been that. Christopher Mapp on LinkedIn. My business partner, Gemma Downing's on LinkedIn as well. She's more active than what I am. Or company website, mixos.com, mixos.com. Yeah, we host a lot of events, people and talent events and charity events. We've actually got a charity football tournament this afternoon where we bring together our clients. We've got a 6-side football tournament, barbecue, DJ, and all of that jazz. So yeah, we've raised over £2,000 for this event. It's for the YMCA in Milton Keynes. They help young adults that are take them through the stages from homelessness to getting them back into work and back on their feet. So yeah, we do quite a lot of events and stuff like that. So Gemma's pretty active on LinkedIn. You probably come across her.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, Chris, thanks again for taking the time to do this today. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Sam.